In the English language, there are several words that we misuse or have several meanings, like the word deadhead. Now, with Halloween coming up, you may think of deadhead as a skeleton or a vampire or a zombie. Ooh. Or as a child of the 60s, listening to the Grateful Dead, you might be a deadhead. But in trucking, the term deadhead is referred to as traveling with an empty load. So after you make a delivery, before you pick up your next load, is a deadhead trip. Now, after 15 years of being in the industry, I can tell you that deadheading is a scary thought. Deadheading is a wallet killer, is an efficiency vampire, and could be hazardous to your health. Now, in the first chapter of our spooky tale of deadheading, we'll start at the fuel pump. Now, fuel and the cost of fuel can be really high for a trucker, and especially when you're deadheading, you're not making any money off of that. Nothing's moving, right? So, with a national average of fuel north of $5 a gallon for diesel, it can be pretty expensive. Now, a truck has two 120-gallon tanks. So, to fill the entire truck up could be $1,200. Now, if a truck averaged 8 miles per gallon, which is typical or close to, it's $63 for a deadhead of 100 miles. I've been asked to deadhead over 500 miles. That's $315 in fuel consumption. Now, the next chapter in our treacherous trip takes us into the dead zone. Now, there's areas in the U.S. where they're called dead zones. And these are areas where products come in, but nothing is produced in that area to come out. So areas heavily reliant on tourism, like Myrtle Beach or Key West, Florida. Now, in the example of Key West, Florida, a driver would make a delivery there and then he'd be stuck there. Or he'd have to burn through a lot of hours, potentially a day or more, getting to his next load. So out of Key West, he may have to reload out of Lakeland, Florida, which is 380 miles away. The last chapter of our scary tale involves safety. Now, this same driver leaving out of Key West, Florida, heading to Lakeland, Florida, may encounter a tropical storm. We're talking heavy rains and blinding rains and heavy winds. Now, with the heavy winds, the problem with trucks are they've got a 53-foot trailer, 13 and a half feet tall, and they've got a high center of gravity. Without any weight in the trailer, they're really susceptible to rollover. So the Federal Motor Carrier came out with a report. The latest one was in 2019. There was nearly 300 rollover fatalities in the U.S. And that's both scary and sad. In conclusion, I'd like to say that deadheading has a lot of problems associated with it. The fuel costs, the inefficiencies to the industry, and the potential for death caused by rollovers. The industry should look to minimize the amount of deadheading that they do, and drivers deserve to make a good living, they deserve to have their time valued, and they deserve to get home to their kids to watch them trick or treat in their most devilish costumes.